This convention is unique. We kind of have that solemnness for the victims from up in Pennsylvania, but at the same time, Donald Trump wants it to go forward. He wants to talk about the values that the Republican Party believes in. He wants to talk about where we stand and how our values are going to help the American people have a healthier and more successful life. And so we want to stay on that vein. Bring America together. We should all be looking for the same things. We should all be going, trying to help the people of America defend their freedoms and help them have a better life.
Well, the one thing I loved was his policies. I mean, what he did for the country, the securing the border, getting inflation under control. Gas prices came down. We were net energy exporters. I think there was a lot of things he did, but it's just like J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was a never Trump guy early on, but he said, I got to know the man. And when you get to know him, you really see that he is a billionaire who could ride off in the sunset and let this nation burn, but he loves his country and he's in it for the right reasons. He don't need the fame, he don't need the money, but he loves his country. He's seen the opportunity seized by free markets and just the liberty that we're offered here. And so for me, it's a culmination of endorsing him early on and seeing him serve with great policy and then seeing him punished in a way that he's been punished by the left in this nation, and yet he's still a fighter. There's not enough that can be said about his courage and his character.
Yeah, my first convention after all these years in local Republican politics, state politics, elected office. It's exciting to be here. A lot of excitement in the room last night, especially when President Trump came in. That was exciting, an electric atmosphere. The party is energized, galvanized around President Trump and J.D. Vance, now his vice presidential pick. So I'm just glad to be a part of history, glad to be here with the delegation, and it's exciting times.
I think the best thing we can do is stay out of Biden's way, keep telling our story as we want to see it play out. If he takes office, we want everyone to understand what his focus, that the administration's focus is. But just let Biden keep being Biden. I think that we'll see some real changes. I don't know necessarily if they'll get him out of the way or not. I hope they don't. I want him to stay right where he's at. But it's going to get pretty nasty for the Democrat Party, and we already see that in Washington now.
Well, not ever having done this before, I was actually elected a delegate 4 years ago, which we never got to come because of COVID. But yeah, it's fun. It's a lot. The Republican people are so passionate, and I grew up. Mother running as a Republican in 1966 after being inspired by Goldwater, and so yeah, it's just fun to be around. People are so nice, and the excitement here is just unbelievable.
Yeah, well, every convention has its own personality, and I actually have fun. You always remember your first conventions very fondly. My wife and I were delegates in 1992 for George Bush, and we were still dating at the time. And we were actually getting serious in our dating relationship during that convention. So we always think about that during convention time. But yeah, it's just really, I think on the heels of what happened on Saturday, I think has really made this convention a little bit different. I mean, obviously security is always a top priority at any convention, but this one just a little different because of the nominee, coming within millimeters of losing his life just hours before the convention started. So I think that sort of had the cloud over this, but it's a very good convention. Great to be here in Milwaukee. First time I've ever been to Milwaukee. Of course, you can see Lake Michigan behind me. It's a beautiful city, and I don't know how it is in the winter, but in the summer here, it's beautiful.
Big speech, prime time. What was that like, going out on that stage like that in the arena in front of not just your state, the convention, but the whole world?
It was incredible. I mean, I had so much fun. First off, kind of walking out there, you can feel the energy of not just the convention, but I feel like the energy of the
big speech, prime time. What was that like, going out on that stage like that in the arena in front of not just your state, the convention, but the whole world?
It was incredible. I mean, I had so much fun. First off, kind of walking out there, you can feel the energy of not just the convention, but I feel like the energy of the nation right now. I think we are ready to put the country back on track. It was exciting. The moment I stood up at the podium, you could hear the Alabama section, so it was a great welcome and a great start to what I believe was a direct speech that captured where we are, particularly with the economy. I mean, Todd, people know that the dollar in their pocket does not go as far under Joe Biden, and people are ready for change.
After your speech, you got to sit in the box with President Trump.
Can you believe that?
After his entrance. I mean, that was a pretty big deal. I'm wondering if y'all had any interaction at all.
When he walked in, and you could see him on the screen, I mean, God Bless America playing, you could see the emotion in his face. You could feel the emotion in the arena. We were sitting right behind his children, so had spoken to Tiffany and obviously Eric and Don Jr. and Kimberly were right in front of us, and you could feel the seriousness of the moment, the gratitude that they felt for his safety, and I think the hope that we all feel for the country moving forward. So it was incredible to be his guest, to be asked to be in that small space and sit with him in his very first public appearance since the assassination attempt. But I will say the energy, the emotion, the hope, and the unity that we felt last night will carry us through, and I think obviously we'll see it on Election Day as well.
Talked about the assassination attempt. Does it feel like a different party, maybe even a different country in terms of that was a wake-up call maybe? And will it be a different party? He's talked about maybe even being a different candidate, having a near-death experience like that. Any sense of that from you?
Look, I mean, having had a near-death experience myself, I can tell you that you really do wrestle with not only God's grace, but God's purpose for your life. And I think you appreciate that every single day is an opportunity to do better, to be better, and that there is a reason that God allowed you to continue to walk this earth, that He's not finished with you, and that there is more you need to do to further His kingdom and to further His plan. And so I think you will see that with President Trump. I mean, you know that time is of the essence and that you're not guaranteed another day, and so bringing people together for a common goal, which is really saving the greatest nation that the globe has ever known and putting it back on track and doing it in a way where Americans, no matter the side of the aisle, can get behind the agenda and move forward, I think is what you'll see. And I think that, we've talked about the electorate, and the Republican Party has never been more unified. So Todd, a couple of weeks ago, President Trump came, this is obviously prior to the assassination attempt, came to the NRSC. He sat down with all of the Republican senators, sat right next to Mitch McConnell, sat, right across the room from Senator Tuberville and I, Mitt Romney and Dan Sullivan, and everyone across the spectrum of the Republican Party was in one room. And in my 19 months in the Senate, I've never left a more unifying meeting where people knew that saving our country, putting hard-working Americans first, securing our border, getting back to business and doing the work of the people was the most important thing. And we all left that room with that unification. Now, after what we've seen in the last couple of days, you continue to just see that energy, kind of almost a flame being put underneath it. It's ignited in a way that I think will not only serve our party well and the way that we bring people in, but ultimately will serve our nation well, because it'll give us the ability to do some really good things. And I am excited to get to be a part of it.
Last question, J.D. Vance.
Yes, yes.
You're his, like I said, freshman class colleague.
Yeah.
Y'all have similar, family stories and everything, or not family stories.
Yes.
You're young senators, young parents.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Were you excited to hear that? And
I was thrilled. I mean, I'm just so excited. So, I mean, it's not often that one of your friends gets named the vice presidential candidate for the United States of America. So we were so happy for him, happy for Usha, excited for the nation to get to know more about JD, his policies, his heart, his passion, his story. So right at the very beginning, when they put you in the Senate, I have said that how they humble you is they put you in a basement with cinder block windows, no air conditioning and a lack, kind of sort of a lack of movement down there. And I was down in the basement with John Betterman, with JD Vance, and myself. And so we started literally on the ground floor together. And I am thrilled to see him lead in this way. We've had the opportunity, we get together for dinner once a month, all of the freshman Republicans, and we've gotten to know each other, not just our policy positions and what we want to see different or ask each other personnel questions, but Todd, we've gotten to know each other as people, and I am excited for the United States of America to get to know JD because they're going to be excited about his leadership and his vision for the country.